From 2007 to 2009, in Japan, peculiarly, unmarried middle-aged men met mysterious deaths. Initially, the authorities paid little heed to this, until just one case unveiled the enigma of a lady dubbed the Ebony Bride by the media. Kanaya Jima was born on November 27, 1974, in Makasbetsu, Japan. She was the eldest among 4 siblings, although their names were not disclosed to the public. It is known that her father was a notary and her mother a piano instructor. Hailing from affluent backgrounds, Kanaya's parents endeavored to raise their children in favorable circumstances, providing them with everything necessary as they grew. However, as the firstborn, Kanaya received particular attention. Inspired by her mother's musical passion, she began nurturing her talent in piano playing. Kanaya honed her technique tirelessly for endless hours. In a remarkably short time, her abilities became evident. She even performed solo concerts on various stages and participated in prestigious competitions. Yet music was not her sole interest. At the age of 9, she already possessed culinary skills, a quality her mother believed foreshadowed a promising future as a wife. Meanwhile, to rear a worthy generation, her father imposed harsh discipline at home, including restricting access to the television and providing minimal pocket money. Kanaya adeptly adhered to these stringent parental rules and excelled as an active student. However, coping with the limited access to funds proved more challenging. She had a penchant for luxury and extravagance. Her father's severity became intolerable to Kanaya, and soon she yielded to her instincts. In her senior years, she discovered that her father kept $21,000 cash at home, which she misappropriated and spent on clothing and handbags of exclusive brands. When her father discovered this, he punished Kanaya by reducing her allowance. Yet contrary to his wishes, she didn't regret her actions. Rather, she thirsted for even more money. Thus, she delved into the intriguing world of companionship. Gathering courage, Kanaya began offering her company to elderly men in exchange for generous financial rewards. In this context, she engaged in a relationship with a 40-year-old man whose identity remains unknown. Under his influence, Kanaya stole a bank book from one of her classmates, and together they withdrew around $80,000. Upon their discovery by authorities, they were arrested and brought to trial. However, due to Kanaya's minor status, she received a suspended sentence. Despite this, she maintained excellent academic performance and completed high school. Afterward, she decided to move to Tokyo and enroll in the economics faculty. However, her interest in studies waned almost immediately, and she dropped out of college. Nevertheless, she found herself charmed by the city and was unwilling to leave. To make ends meet, Kanaya took on several temporary and unstable jobs. One of them was working as a waitress in a fast food restaurant. The long hours, harsh environment, and low wages troubled her. She constantly worried about how to pay the rent for her modest apartment, which she detested. It was only a matter of time before Kanaya acquired a new vile habit. She would enter stores, pretending to be a regular customer, and steal cosmetics, books, and even money. Although she was caught several times, she managed to evade arrest. These occasional thefts were insufficient to sustain the lifestyle she aspired to. So she quit her job and decided to join an escort club. These establishments offered services ranging from conversations and social gatherings to more intimate encounters. With her height of around 5 feet and weight of 105 kilograms, Kanaya did not fit the conventional beauty standards and initially did not attract much attention. However, everything changed when she met Takayuki, a procurer who became her mentor. He taught her how to satisfy a man, inspired her to devise a comprehensive marketing strategy, and advised her to seek middle-aged or older men with low self-esteem, not inclined toward the women they truly desired. Realizing the value of her skills and virtues, Kanaya learned to establish emotional connections with her partners. She discovered that kindness and attention not only attracted attention, but also gratitude. Kanaya became an expert in the art of seduction, able to read people and understand their desires. She discovered a new, unprecedented power within herself. During this time, Kanaya adopted the pseudonym Sakura and fabricated a story that her father was a professor at the prestigious University of Tokyo, the most elite educational institution in the country. On other occasions, she posed as a nurse, a therapist, or a renowned chef, All these fabricated stories created a captivating image. One of her clients under this new guise was Sadao Fukuyama. They met in February 2001 at a bar, and their interaction was so intense that within 2 weeks they became lovers. However, not only did this man, previously known for his frugality and careful spending, make the mistake of trusting her, which Kanaya shamelessly exploited. Initially, she concocted a story about her parents' demise in a plane crash and claimed she couldn't afford tuition at a music school in Boston, where she allegedly studied. Sadao promised to cover all expenses, while she, in turn, pledged to visit him once a month from the USA. The man eagerly anticipated these visits, elegantly dressed, enamored with the woman he considered his fiancée, while Kanaya, seizing the opportunity, depleted most of his savings. After realizing that she had exhausted all of Sadao's financial resources, Kanaya put an end to their relationship. Sly and manipulative, she left no traces that would allow her to be detected. When the man suspected he had fallen victim to deception and attempted to report her, there was insufficient evidence to proceed with the case. Several months later, in August 2007, Sadao was late for work. Concerned, one of his colleagues went to his home and found him dead in the shower. When the news became public, Kanaya transferred $50,000 from her former fiancé's funds to her bank account. As the police failed to ascertain the cause of death, the incident was classified as a domestic accident. In 2008, Kanaya became interested in the development of the internet in Japan. Recognizing the obvious advantages of the virtual world, she decided to alter her strategy. She created profiles on major local social networks dedicated to finding a partner, using the pseudonym Sakura. In her description, she made it clear that she was seeking serious relationships to start a family. Kanaya perfectly understood the characteristics and needs of her potential victims. She knew they were mostly men with high work and social demands, substantial incomes, and emptiness in their souls. Moreover, her strategy involved adapting to the situation and flexibly changing according to the preferences of the interlocutor. In this sense, Kanaya presented herself as a young woman seeking true love, a talented pianist, or even a zoo shop owner passionate about culinary arts. It didn't take her long to become a true virtual celebrity. Her profile particularly appealed to mature and elderly men who sought to give meaning to their later years. One of those who fell in love with Kanaya was Tokao Teredo, a 53-year-old systems engineer living in the suburbs of Tokyo. Since his daily life revolved around commuting home from work, and the only people he interacted with were his mother and sister, in February 2008, Tokao decided to try to meet someone online. 2 months later, Kanaya sent him an invitation to chat and expressed hope for a future marriage. But first, she asked for financial assistance to cover some expenses. At the same time, Kanaya posed as a nurse and caregiver for the elderly, responding to advertisements placed online. 80-year-old Kenzo, who lived in the city of Noda in Chiba Prefecture, was one of her contacts. Despite his modest income, he came from a respected family. His father was a renowned artist from whom he inherited valuable works. Additionally, Kenzo suffered from some health issues. During their initial communication, Kanaya sent him a meticulously retouched photograph, revealing only a glimpse of her body. Kenzo was impressed and hired her as a caregiver and cook. Kanaya not only prepared special dishes for him, but also went to great lengths to please him. In this way, she earned his loyalty and gratitude. A month later, Kanaya approached Kenzo for a loan, stating that the money was needed for tuition fees at the university. Without much hesitation, he handed over all his savings to her. In the midst of it all, Kanaya manipulated Tokao's feelings, which he openly shared with his mother, expressing his exceptional bond with his fiancée and his plans for marriage. In turn, Kenzo, deeply trusting Kanaya, gifted her a copy of the key to his home. However, the man fell into a coma and had to be hospitalized. During his absence, she entered and exited the house, taking with her paintings that she later sold at high prices. Additionally, during this time, she deceived other men. In all cases, their identities remained undisclosed, but it is known that they ranged in age from 40 to 50 years. While Tokao dreamed of a life together, Kanaya had a completely different plan already in motion. Purchasing electric stoves online, she arranged to meet him at his home, and before their date, brought along a sedative, After preparing dinner for both of them, she crushed several tablets and mixed them with his food. Within minutes, Toko lost consciousness. Kanaya dragged him into a room, locked all doors and windows, set up the stoves, placed charcoal on them, and turned them on. Before leaving, she transferred $121,000 from Toko's account to her own bank account. She also took the keys to the house and the computer. 5 days later, on February 4, 2009, Toko's boss visited his home to check if everything was all right. Receiving no response, he contacted local authorities, and Toko's lifeless body was discovered. Analyzing call records, investigators found that his contact list included only his mother, sister, and Kanaya under the pseudonym Sakura. When officers contacted Kanaya, she claimed that Toko was emotionally unstable and likely took his own life after she rejected his marriage proposal. Given the absence of evidence of violence, this version seemed entirely plausible to the police. As a result, the investigation was not pursued. After emerging from the coma, Kenzo returned home. On the evening of May 15, 2009, Kanaya visited him, as usual, spent time with him, and prepared dinner. However, this time she added a special ingredient to his meal, sedative drugs. Once Kenzo fell asleep, she locked him in a room and repeated the procedure with the stoves. As with her other victims, before leaving, she gained access to Kenzo's bank account and transferred $30,000 to her own account. But this time one of the electric stoves caught fire, engulfing the entire house in flames. Kenzo died instantly from fatal burns. Subsequent autopsy revealed that he had ingested an unusual amount of sedatives. Additionally, it was discovered that he had never previously consumed such drugs. Nevertheless, authorities ruled his death as an accident. Meanwhile, Kanaya continued to run her blog, scouting the internet for new victims. In July 2009, her account was stumbled upon by Yuki Oyuto, who, unable to resist her charms, sent her messages. He was a 41-year-old single man who, in addition to his salary, derived income from renting out family property. Moreover, he was very close to his mother, who lived in Fujini. In their initial communication, Kanaya introduced herself as a doctoral student seeking someone capable of supporting her financially and marrying her. Intrigued by her words, Yuki invited the girl to meet him in 2 days. Days went by, and Kanaya gave the impression that their relationship was growing stronger. They announced their engagement and began making plans for the wedding. At that time, within the framework of a prenuptial agreement, she persuaded him to transfer $30,000 to cover her doctoral studies. August 5, 2009 was marked on the couple's calendar as a special date. To celebrate, they planned a 3-day trip to Fujini. At the same time, the primary cause for Yuki's excitement was the meeting of two paramount women in his life, his mother and Kanaya. He was so stirred that he desired to share his joy on his own blog and even announced the impending wedding. Kanaya prepared a lavish dinner in celebration. Unbeknownst to Yuki, she intricately ground various substances and sprinkled them into his food. Following the evening, they set off to their destination in a rented car. Upon arriving in the city of Fujini, the couple parked. It was precisely then that the pills took effect on Yuki, plunging him into a deep slumber. Subsequently, Kanaya activated the electric stove, ignited the coals, and left the man locked in the car. Everything proceeded as usual, yet this time she made a crucial mistake. Kanaya forgot to leave the keys in the car. At that moment, the sole surveillance camera captured her departing the parking lot. She then pilfered $35,000 from Yuki's account. When police officers discovered the body, they initially surmised that the man had taken his own life, but the absence of the car keys anywhere raised perplexity. This soon evolved into suspicion, as no note justifying the discovered action was found. Moreover, there were no traces of coal on his hands and clothes. Matches were also not found in the car. According to his mother, her son seemed to have no reason to make such a radical decision. In fact, he was more than content with what life had to offer him. This was corroborated by investigators examining his blog. The autopsy revealed that the cause of death was carbon monoxide poisoning, but it also uncovered another detail: traces of tranquilizers in his system. Drawing all the threads together, the police noticed that 3 bachelors had died under similar circumstances as Yuki in the same year, which aroused concerns and suspicions. When the police gained access to the surveillance camera footage, Kanaya was exposed. However, the absence of additional cameras prevented the discovery of crucial evidence. From that moment on, all investigations focused on her. Then, when Yuki's computer was analyzed, it was revealed how they had met. When investigators approached Kanaya, she claimed to have met Yuki and left him alone the night before. She also speculated that after her departure, the man might have done something to end his life. However, despite her statement, the police decided to initiate a thorough investigation, gathering information about all the deaths and fraud cases linked to her and those involved. On September 15, 2009, Kanaya contacted another 43-year-old man on a virtual platform, although his name remained unknown. In this instance, the girl posed as an American student studying culinary arts in Japan. She also led him to believe that she had family problems and financial difficulties paying for her education. In conclusion, Kanaya informed him that she was willing to give up everything, including her studies, to be with him. The next day, her new lover sent her $17,000, and a few days later, Kanaya moved into his home. In doing so, she acquired 2 electric stoves. She then severed all the wires of the fire alarm system in the house. Kanaya's plan was thwarted when on September 23, 2009, the groom's sister arrived at the residence with the idea of staying for a few days. Immediately, the girl began to suspect her new fiancé and tried to convince her brother not to continue the relationship. Matters worsened when he told her about the strange circumstances of their acquaintance and the money he had lent her. Then the sister decided to follow her intuition, telling the police everything she knew. On September 25, police officers arrived at the residence, arresting Kanaya on charges of fraud. During the search of her room, they discovered that all alarm devices were disabled, indicating that the girl intended to carry out her characteristic procedure. Following the search, various medicinal preparations were also discovered, including several classes of drugs inducing drowsiness and a sedative effect. Additionally, investigators found on her computer all online purchases of stoves. These pieces of evidence allowed to establish a direct link with previous cases. Thus, she emerged as the primary suspect in Yuki's death. In January 2009, as the investigation into the unusual deaths continued, Kanaya was charged with fraud on multiple counts. A month later, she was charged with murder, particularly in Tako's death. Although an autopsy was never conducted in this case, the accusation was based on the lack of clear evidence of the cause of death, leading to an unusual situation. During the trial, she asserted her innocence, claiming that the deaths of these individuals were either accidental or the personal decisions of the men. This aligned with her defense strategy, which aimed for an acquittal. Citing the absence of substantial evidence, the prosecution underscored the importance of circumstantial evidence, such as her presence with the victims before their deaths and similarities in the causes of death. All body analyses indicated that the men had ingested a substance that was also found with Kanaya. Furthermore, the prosecution alleged that the girl received substantial loans from 3 of her victims and killed them to avoid repayment. According to prosecutors, Kanaya used coal and electric stoves to poison the 3 victims to confuse the authorities, as poisoning is a common method of suicide in Japan. Finally, on April 30, 2009, the jury found Kanaya guilty of the murder of 3 men. As a result, she was sentenced to death. Doomed to death, she continued to maintain her blog. Therein, she continued to recount her experiences, and the notoriety she gained even brought her financial support from some fans willing to improve her living conditions. Incredibly, one of her supporters, who provided her with financial assistance, eventually married Kanaya. This occurred in 2015, and according to available data, the man was around 60 years old. However, after an accident, he became disabled, making it impossible for him to continue his financial support. Subsequently, Kanaya divorced him. She also utilized her time behind bars to write memoirs, which were subsequently published weekly in a women's magazine. At the same time, she published an autobiographical novel titled Praise. 100 days after the divorce, Kanaya remarried, this time to an entrepreneur involved in real estate, but they divorced after a few months. In 2018, Kanaya decided to marry again, this time choosing a 40-year-old man working in the publishing house responsible for publishing her book. While awaiting execution, she continued to lead an active and controversial life, evoking both admiration and condemnation.